What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your 19th AngularJS tutorial, in which we'll be discussing about how you can pass data between different scopes. Now, one of the biggest problem we face while programming AngularJS applications online is that when you have a lot of scopes, then it looks very difficult to pass data from one scope to another. Though we can use something called services in AngularJS to do the task, but there's a much cleaner approach if you are doing short programs. So I'll show you what the problem is and how to fix that. So let's create a simple app right now. So let's say I have input type text ng model message. Now since we need two different scopes, then what we can do is, since this is a scope itself, then I guess I didn't tell you guys that ng repeat creates its own subscope. So whenever you use like span ng repeat this to this or whatever, or like we have used in right here, so what it does is inside this li a local scope is created in which person.name is accessible. So if you try to do like person.name here, then you would obviously face an error. So not an error, it will just print out, or I don't know, just try it. So so here what we can do is we can create our own scope, and this would be a local scope. So since I don't want actually to repeat anything, so what I'll do is I'll type ng repeat I in 1. Now what this would do is it would just repeat I mean the contents inside this span tag one time. If I wrote I is some other number, let's say 1 and 2, then what would happen is if I do like I here, if I test it in the browser, then you see that I get 1 and 2 as output. So these are a range based loop, and I guess we have done that. I'll check if we didn't, then I'll just fix it up in coming tutorials. So anyway, since I wanted just to run one time and I don't want to work with I at all because I'm not interested with I, so what I'll do is if I do like I right here and I reload, then you see if console pops up any error. Nope. But anyways, this one appears inside this span tag if you see, and not outside the span tag. So you see that it says ng repeat in1 and ng repeat in1. So we have no scope of this I right here. So okay, so coming back to main purpose of the tutorial, I wanted to show you a real use of this. So let's say we have an input type text and ng model of message again. So what's happening is, let's say I right here you wrote message, and I write outer, you wrote message. Let's just give that inside a p tag so that it appears in a new line, because p is a block element. So let's reload this, and right here okay, so right here if I type something inside the first box, what it is doing is it is updating the message variable, and it's populating with something, and this container is passed down in all the subchild scopes as well. But what happens when I write inside this text box? Now when I write 1 2 3 or something in this text box, what happens is that this area, this code block, is creating its own subscope, and inside that subscope the message is not accessible to the outer block. So this is how this problem arises when we try to link a lot of things together which are in different scopes. So one way to fix this problem is to remove the concept of the scopes or the different variables in different scopes at all. So what we can do is we can type something called message dot property or whatever you want, and property here as well. Okay, so now what's happening is, let's reload this, and if I type something here, okay, and I type something more here, and I guess yep, so now it should be fixed. Something more. So now how this is working, previously what we had is something like this. Now what it did is, whenever I wrote something in this text box, it created its own scope of message, and then it displayed it to me because I was kind of echoing it here. But with message.property, it created a property of the global message which is passed down to the subscope as well. Now what's happening here is, instead of creating its own message, it's just overriding the property which was already present in the scope, and since this is already present in the scope, this is automatically updated here as well. So to summarize it once more, I can say that whenever I enter some text in the second field, the connection between the message, the scoped message, this one, and the outer message breaks, because the inner scope, which is inside this p tag, create its own property message and updates it inside its own code block area only. So that's one way of passing messages or data between the scopes. So I hope you learned something from this tutorial, and in the next tutorial we'll be learning some more awesome stuff about AngularJS. So that's it for this tutorial, and I'll see you then next time. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching.